Brown eggs cost more. They sit next to the organic labels. Most people assume they are the cleaner choice. But here is something that might surprise you. A 2024 study found that roughly 64% of brown eggs contain blood or meat spots inside the shell. In white eggs, that number is 1.37%. The same dark pigment that turns a shell brown also blocks the light factories use to inspect each egg before it ships. Defects that would be caught and removed in a white egg pass through a brown egg undetected. The color you pay more for is the same color hiding what is inside. A hen takes roughly 26 hours to build a single egg from scratch. For the first 20 of those hours, the shell forms layer by layer from calcium carbonate. At this stage, every egg on Earth is white, every single one. Then something else happened, or rather, keeps happening, millions of times a day. In the final 3 to 5 hours before laying, certain breeds secrete a pigment called protoporphyrin 9 onto the outer surface of the shell. This pigment comes from heme, the exact same compound that makes human blood red. Brown eggs are not dyed. They are stained from the inside out, in a process no farmer controls and no factory designed. The proof is simple. Crack a brown egg and look at the inside of the shell. It is white, perfectly white. The brown never penetrated. It sits on the surface like a coat of paint applied at the last possible moment. Some breeds go further. Araucana chickens produce blue and green shells using a different pigment, biliverdin. That is the same chemical that gives a healing bruise its blue-green tinge. Color is nothing more than a surface coating controlled by genetics. But brown eggs still cost more at the store. The reason has nothing to do with what is inside. So researchers at Texas A&M University cracked both open and measured everything: weight, yolk ratio, albumin density, shell thickness. The numbers tell a story no grocery label does. Brown eggs weigh slightly more on average, 61.5 grams versus 60.3 grams for white. But white eggs have a higher shell-to-egg ratio, 9.35% versus 8.65%. That means proportionally more of what you pay for in a white egg is actual shell. Now the yolk. White eggs carry a higher yolk-to-egg ratio, 27.6% versus 26.8%. That is the opposite of what most people assume. If you have ever believed brown eggs have richer yolks, the data says otherwise. Brown eggs do contain more albumin, 64.5% versus 63.1%, with denser albumin solids at 11.2% compared to 10.8%. Every one of these differences is statistically significant. None of them is large enough to taste. The blood spot gap comes down to two causes. Brown egg breeds are genetically more prone to capillary rupture during formation. Tiny vessels in the oviduct break as the egg passes through. And their darker shells make candling far less effective. Candling is the industrial process of shining a high-intensity light through the shell to inspect the contents: cracks, blood spots, double yolks, fertility. White shells let the light pass cleanly. Brown shells absorb it. What passes inspection in one line gets missed in the other. Those spots are completely safe to eat. The United States Department of Agriculture has confirmed this. A blood spot is actually a sign the egg is very fresh. It fades and dissolves over time. This candling gap matters beyond spots. White eggs can be checked for fertility by day 3 of incubation. Brown eggs require waiting until day 5 or 6. That difference in inspection reliability is a key reason the white Leghorn became the dominant commercial breed in America. Not just high output, but transparent shells that make quality control faster and cheaper. Nutrition per large egg, roughly 70 calories, 6 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat. No significant difference in vitamins, minerals, or cholesterol between brown and white. Blind taste tests confirm what the lab data suggests. Nobody can tell the difference with their eyes closed. The real differences between brown and white eggs have nothing to do with nutrition or flavor. They live in production biology and quality control visibility. The price gap comes down to one thing: the size of the chicken. Rhode Island Reds and Plymouth Rocks, the breeds that lay brown eggs, are physically larger than white Leghorns. Bigger bodies need more feed, more water, more floor space. A Rhode Island Red eats roughly 128 grams of feed per day. A white Leghorn eats about 100 grams. More input, same output. The cost lands on your receipt. Shell thickness is another myth. It depends on the age of the hen, not the breed. Young hens produce thick shells. Old hens produce thin ones. Brown or white, the calcium runs out at the same rate. What actually changes nutrition is the label you are not reading. Pasture-raised hens with access to sunlight produce eggs with 3 to 4 times more vitamin D than caged hens. Omega-3 enriched feed changes the fat profile. Shell color tells you none of this. Here is where the story flips. Your preference for egg color is not a choice you made. It is a habit you inherited. The United States, Canada, and Mexico buy almost exclusively white eggs. The United Kingdom, France, and Ireland buy almost exclusively brown. Britain was a white egg market until the 1970s. Then consumer sentiment shifted. Brown looked more natural, more farm-fresh, and within a decade, white eggs nearly vanished from British shelves. A survey in Wisconsin found that shell color preferences had barely changed since 1965. 60 years. 3 generations. The same preference passed down without a single scientific reason behind it. You do not choose brown eggs because they are better. You choose them because your grandmother chose them. Try this. Crack a brown egg tonight and look at the inside of the shell. Pure white. The brown was never part of the egg. It was a last-minute coat of pigment. Nothing more. Next time you stand in the egg aisle, ignore the shell. Flip the carton over and read what matters. Look for pasture-raised. Look for omega-3 supplemented feed. Look for a best-by date. Fresher eggs have firmer whites and taller yolks, regardless of color. Here's a test worth knowing. Place an egg in a glass of water. If it sinks and lies flat, it is very fresh. If one end tilts upward, it is 1 to 3 weeks old. If it stands straight up, it is approaching 2 months. If it floats, throw it out. Brown eggs are not worse. White eggs are not better. Shell color is simply not the metric worth paying attention to. The real difference between brown and white eggs is not something you can see. It is something you believe. And that belief was built by marketing, by culture, and by the quiet association between the word brown and the word natural. Nobody planned it. It just stuck. That brown shell was never a sign of quality. It was a coat of pigment, just thick enough to block the light. That is the process. We reveal how things actually work, one story at a time. If there is something you would like us to explore next, let us know. Until then, trust the process.